replay?
It's going to be a replay as far as how it goes. I think these guys are still evenly matched. Even though Stephen Fulton, he had the loss against Inoue, and in his last fight he got dropped, and he's showing a little bit of confidence issues. As far as even though he can seem confident, but if you're a fighter and you have those things happen to you, you're gonna have some doubts. He won't be the same Fulton he was prior to that loss. But in Figueroa's case, I think Figueroa has taken a lot of punishment too over the years, as far for a young fighter, because he's pretty much a volume puncher, wear you down type of fighter. And I think a lot of that punishment, that could take its toll either. So I expect the exact same fight, a similar fight, and the thing about Fulton is because and it's probably gonna be his downfall in this fight. Fulton can actually win this fight easier if he just resorts to boxing and moving and using that instead of using the game plan that he did the first fight. But I think it's probably won't allow him, and he's still going to think he can sit there and bang with Figueroa. And I think it'll be a replay of the first fight, except in the last few rounds, I think the toe is going to take. I think Fulton's body will take a toll, and I think that Figueroa is going to stop him. I think in around the 11th or 12th round. So I have Figueroa winning by stoppage in the 11th round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, this is probably the fight I'm most excited for. The first fight was crazy good. I'm gonna go with Cool Boy by decision. As you guys pointed out, he doesn't have power. He's feather fisted. But he's the guy, I agree with Val, he might have some doubts now from his last couple of fights. He was dropped against, the monster, he was dropped against Castro. But he's the guy that, he fights his opponent's game. And, he got up against Castro, was landing big shots, started landing bombs. Even though he didn't got the power, he was landing big shots on Castro that was snapping his head back. So I think Fulton, he is a former champ. He could definitely make those adjustments, and I know that he's going to go into this fight with a game plan. But Figueroa, he just keeps coming forward, throwing punches nonstop. But like I said, Fulton's a guy that fights his game. He's gonna eventually, try to figure Figueroa out. Yes, Figueroa is gonna keep coming, but Fulton, he's gonna stand his ground and trade with him. But the first fight, Brandon Figueroa's face was busted up, but I think that he had Fulton hurt a couple times in that fight. But I'm just going to go with Stephen Fulton because I think like I said, I just think that he has the composure, he had the determination, and he fights his opponent's game. So I'm gonna go with Stephen Fulton by decision. And I wanted to add about David Morrell and Benavidez. I wanted to add that. When David Morrell fought the guy, Bolsonelli, he went into a coma after that fight. And, Tony Weeks was the ref in that fight. So I think that contributed, to Tony Weeks, as a referee, him stopping, a couple of fights that he stopped early. I think that, he felt in his heart, man, this guy went into a coma. Now I gotta do a better job as a ref. So I think that really contributed to him stopping those fights that, the fans felt that he stopped early.
Yeah, as far as Fulton and Figueroa, I think both guys are slightly slower now than they were before, just slightly. And just that and the wear and tear of Figueroa. I don't know how well Figueroa takes care of himself either, not to put personal business out there, but he did have like a DUI. Since the fight that he had against Fulton, or Fulton Figueroa won. Kind of like some other guys who try to, even his brother and other guys who come back, and they don't necessarily look the same as they did before. Like I said, I don't know how much what he's doing to his body in between fights as well. And then, like I say, with the wear and tear from just taking so many punches, he could be, more of a shell of himself now than he was in the first fight. I think if he's close to what he was before, I would have to favor him against Fulton. Fulton, this is Fulton. Like what you see in these highlights, you would think somebody with 8 KOs and 20 victories, that they would be more unwilling to exchange, as much as he does. But he likes to sit there and kind of bang and try to take some of your work away by like rolling with punches, kind of like a Tevin Farmer to a certain degree. They fight a little bit differently, but Tevin Farmer's not that big of a puncher, but he's not running from you, But I think it works better for Tevin Farmer than it does for Fulton, especially at this stage of his career, because I think that he still is feeling the effects a little bit from the new way beatdown that he had, and then also the confidence that kind of was taken away from him a little bit. Hopefully this fight that you're watching right here with Castro, that was the fight to kind of build back the confidence. So now moving forward, I'm straight, and you'll see more of the old Stephen Fulton as opposed to, the way he looked at parts of this fight. But you had to be impressed with him being able to come back, and be victorious after getting dropped in this fight, because he kind of looked outgunned at certain points. I kind of have no idea of how this fight is going to play out, because I don't know what version of both guys we're going to see. I haven't seen much of Figueroa, but I wasn't impressed the last time I did see him in his 9th round TKO victory in his last fight. He just was just too much for the guy that he faced. I don't think he'll be too much for Fulton, but will that constant pressure, the heavy hands, will that get to Cool Boy? Will Cool Boy just be a little too elusive for Figueroa? I'm going to go with Figueroa being victorious. I just think at some point he's going to probably catch Fulton, and I don't like the way Fulton is responding sometimes when he gets hit with some of those shots. Figueroa does have some pop, and I think eventually he'll get to him. I'll say about the 7th round, I'll give it to Brandon Figueroa. But again, I don't see much from Brandon Figueroa. So when you mention him possibly facing somebody like the Monster in the future, the Monster will eat him up because he's just too accurate, too precise with his punches, and he has too much power. You can't keep getting hit by somebody like that for all 12 rounds if you aren't defensively responsible. So I'm going to have to go with Brandon Figueroa, but I'll be rooting for Cool Boy. Anything else you guys have when it comes to this matchup?
I just want to say, I salute Cool Boy, taking on these tough fights. I don't recall knowing too much about Castro before he fought him, but like he was game in that fight, man. He was taking it to Fulton, letting his hands go, throwing combinations. So I just want to salute Cool Boy, for taking all these tough fights back to back to back.
Shout out to Cool Boy, man.
Yeah, salute. Hey,
Yeah, salute to him. All right, hit that sub if you're not a sub, I'm going ahead and give you time to go ahead and do that. It don't cost nothing to go ahead and do that. Your boy Vail, he get up every Sunday, craving these boxing conversations. Me too. This gives me an opportunity to do some things that I typically don't do, because you have to be so professional Monday through Friday. And so my safe space, my happy place is for me when I get a chance to do something that I just naturally like to do, and that's talk boxing. And again, if we got any guest that comes on, shout out the coach. Just make sure you're respectful when you come on here. Like I said, this is my happy place. So you're not gonna see me going over to the massage parlor, and when some of these fellas giving these happy endings, then you're not gonna see me over there messing with you. You see what I'm saying? So leave me alone. When I'm over here enjoying myself. All right, very good, folks. We got the
last ones at the bar exclusively talks about the sport of boxing.